All right, so now for our first item on Monday, not everything, but many of the things you did in attendance is going to help you here. So I'm going to go ahead and open up this item. And in this item, it's going to talk about, and it'll have the video that you're watching here, is what we're going to do. So we're working inside Free Code Camp. And this is an assignment where you submit a commit history, right? So that you can tell this as soon as you come in that that's the way you will submit this particular assignment. So this is only between you and I, okay? So in this assignment, you're going to move from theory to practice. So let's actually get our hands in and start coding. So on Free Code Camp, let me go ahead and open Free Code Camp. I'm still logged in. Yep, I'm going to go to menu. I'm going to go to curriculum, or I could say get started, whichever one I wanted to click on. To get there, I would go to responsive web design and I would scroll down. So in this case, you can see I worked a little ahead, but at this point you will work through all of 1 through 11 in the building curriculum online. So this is a workshop where you actually go in. Here's a preview of what you will build, get started, and it will it'll tell you exactly what you need to do. Okay. So for this one, you just type in. Okay. Now, can you cut and paste? Sure, you actually can. And sometimes I do that because it's like, okay, that's all I need to do. Click here. Congratulations. Now, what it does is it checks to see if your code's right. Cool. And then you keep going. So then you move on to step 3 and you'll move all the way through. Okay. So I'm not going to do it all for you, but I just want you to know that what you will end up seeing, and I'm going to go back to the curriculum here, is you will see each of them completed and then you will get the check. So then you will also work through the debugging the camper bot profile. So in this one, it's a little different. They give you some code. They actually tell you what you need to do, and then you will attempt to do it. Okay. So then you can run tests, you can reset the assignment, you can get help if you need it. Okay. So in this case, you just work through and you can read what you're going to do. You're going to try to fix the heading. It says why, and then here are the specific things that you actually end up needing to do. So once you get through all that, right, you run your test. Now, by the way, let me just run the test here, right? And so in this case, let's see if I did that, right? So it's going to show me these two were done, these were not, right? So in that case, you'll actually need to, when you get all of these checks, then you'll be done with that particular one. Okay, so this is why when you're submitting, I'm just going to scroll down, you get these checks when you move all the way through. So a workshop and a lab. Okay. All right, so that's what you're going to do up there, right? You're going to work through those. And so here are the instruction, okay? So I actually have them up already, okay? And this is what I had already talked about. You log in, this is the ones you do. So what you're going to do is you're going to take a print screen of your completed curriculum showing the check marks, right? Now, here's what is really important is your print screen must include your account profile picture. So in other words, you needed to have done that for attendance. So if you don't have it, do it now, okay, to receive credit for it. Okay, you need to resize it, okay, to something like 500. Remember, because our screens are so large, something that is 500, and you saw me do this on Squish. I was actually just here, Squish, a little bit ago, and I did it. Resize it, and here gives, if you're on Windows, you do it this way. But again, this is where if you are on something besides using the web app, you reach out if you need help. And then save the final resized file as whatever extension your particular application uses. You know, I've been using .webp, so I did that. And so now what you're going to do is you're going to organize. And now here's what is important to understand about this assignment is we're working in the private repo. Okay, so for attendance, you're working in the public repo. Okay, so in this case, I would go to my CIT82. I'd find my private repo, and then I would go here and would go ahead and open up my code space. And I already have mine open, but is it really important to understand when we use private and when we use public. So in this case, we're using the private repo, PRI, and you can tell it's got a little lock. Now here's mine. I already have it open. Okay, and again, my code space is at a completed state, meaning I've done all these steps. And your job is to work through them, but I at least give you a visual on what this looks like. Okay, so let's go back here. Okay, so in your private repo, you set up this structure. Inside, right? Ins it inside your existing lecture. Oh, did we already have you create that? Did we do that last week? Now I'm wondering. Yeah, actually we did, right? I gotta check now. Yeah, so we did do that last week. I just had to go find. I'm like, yeah, we did that last week. We created that lecture, right? And so now, matter of fact, I can see this. If I go into here, right, we did the roadmap. Here's where we did the roadmap. So now at that same level, you're going to create a free code camp. So remember, what's important is where you want to create these folders. So when I'm in lectures, I would create folder, right? And that folder name, and you know it's in the right place when it shows up right underneath it, is here. And then inside of there, you'll also create an images folder. Okay, and we'll show you this in a minute. So when you're walking through these steps right here, right, where you're creating free code camp, inside of there, create an image folder. And now at this point, if you've gone through the process of taking your print screen, and here's how I recommend doing the print screen. I'm going to pull my tab out. Okay, now why am I doing this? Because my resolution is going to be so big, it'll kind of become a little distorted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to roll this up, right? I'm going to drop that so I can see both of these. Now I could even have only the items that need to be complete. I could have those up. I could even make it smaller. Now, as long as, you know, this one shows up as complete with all these complete, and this one, you're good to go. And then I take the print screen. This is what you learned in the attendance. Now, remember what I do is I like to use this site to come in here, place it up here, and then I showed you before how to resize it, right? Give it a compression and then download it. Again, those are the steps. I'm not going to go through them because that's the part that hopefully you walked away with from attendance, but if not, come get help. Then I renamed it. Okay, so here's the other thing. I'm going to go back to my code space, which is here. Okay, so that file then, I renamed it for the requirement, which is W2P1, and for me that was the extension. Okay, so where did I get that from, right? Was here, right? So here is the name of the file that you want to have depending on the extension. Okay, so cool. So if you've gotten through this part right here, then, and here's the point, is you do a commit here. So once you get the image up there, do a commit, right? So once you place that in there. So now we're going to actually create the index file, okay? So in this case, I'm going to show you how to create this index file. Now, creating the file, and notice how it actually is going to go right inside the free code camp folder, okay? So in here, you create file, okay? Making sure, now if I actually did it right here where I'm actively, right, it would actually create that file in there, which is not what I want. So I would actually have free code camp, and then I would create file, and here's where you would type that index.html, okay? Now in here, so in this file now, and you could either you're actually by this time have completed the responsive web design, which you learn some of the basic tags, although we're going to get more on these later. But I'm going to show you an easy way for now to do this, which is you do explanation and then tab. Now, because you've named the file .html, it actually creates those tags that you're going to learn about as we move through the course. Okay, so for now, we're just using some built-in, and this is a nice, what we call just natural plugin called Emmet that is built into the browser that allows us to quickly lay down some HTML, and in this case, that standard code that we need, right? So we need an HTML, right? We need to know what language it is. We have a head section, we have a meta, a title, the end of the head section, the body. So this is where you'll learn the more we do coding is what you see in the pages here. Okay. So again, quick overview of that. You're going to learn more of it as we go. Okay. So inside, right, at the same level, and not inside the image. That's what I made sure I showed you. Is create the index file, and in the index, add the basic boilerplate. And then this is what I just showed you. You can use that exclamation point. Okay, so now we're actually going to create a link. Okay, so again, we're using code that we're going to learn more about. Now, this is actually the full line of code here that's actually going to link to your screenshot. Okay, so I'm going to copy this. I'm going to come back to my code space. I'm going to paste that. Okay, now we're going to learn more and more ways as we go forward to actually get and make this look better. Okay, so when you look at it, we'll do in a minute. And part of this, and I can already see I'm going to have an issue because of my naming, but that's okay because I want to show you how to fix it. Okay, so we have some text. We have an A ref, so it's a link. The link text is proof of work. It's pointing to the image folder here and to that W2. Now, we could have written that manually, okay? And let me just show you that because it is good. Actually, I'm not going to show you that yet because I actually want to go ahead and go down here and say go live, okay? And you'll see why. Because when I hit go live, that extension that in the attendance we set up, then it's going to look at my folders. I'm going to go into lecture. I'm going to go into free code camp. And then I should see this here, which is just some simple text. Now, when I click on it, if I get a 404, that means my image was broken. Okay. And in this case, the reference didn't work. So let's go fix that. And let's see if you already can see, based on the way I named my images, what was wrong. It was the extension. Okay, so in my example content, right, I assumed somebody was using a PNG file because, again, these can be different based on whichever standard or in this case, we call it encoding that you do to the file. So I'm like, okay, so if it doesn't work, troubleshooting, and by the way, this is where VS Code can really help you, is if I type IMG, it's actually going to say, hey, you want the images folder? Yep. And then it'll show me all the Now, I actually also have the one for the next one. But in this case, okay, good, right? So I have this. And now if I go back to my here, right, if I hit refresh, I shouldn't really have to. Now that should work. So what you want to do and hit back is make sure this works, and then we'll build this file out as we go forward. Matter of fact, even for the next item, you'll see I'll add what we call an unordered list. Okay. So once you get all that working, right? So this is the go live, go to the bottom. Now we have another commit. So created index with the relative link to the screenshot. Okay, so now we should have another commit. And again, at this point, right? So you should have this down, right? Get add, well, we could do a get status, right? Get add star, get commit dash m. Let's see. If I don't remember, I'd go over here and grab it, created the index in HTML. Okay, and then in my quote. Cool. Now, what I haven't done yet is what? What's the step I haven't done is I actually haven't done a git push. Okay, cool. So now once I do the git push, now I can actually get ready to submit. Let's go back to our instructions, push to here, go to 83, find your private repo, navigate to the free code camp, verify your index, and your index file is there, your IMJ is there. Now, this is unlike what we did in the public repo, okay? Because all you're going to give me is your commit history, okay? So then and I'll show you how to do that now because that's the URL that you'll submit to me. So now I'm going to go over here and I'm pretty sure I'm done. I could keep this open in case I needed to fix something. Okay. But I actually happen to have already in another tab my private repo. So then I would go into lectures. I'd go into free code camp. I would then go to history. And then I should see those two required. Now, mine are going to look a little different because I've had different stuff, but here's the thing you want to make sure you see. And the reason I have you do a commit history is that you will see those two commits that you've done. Okay. So let's go ahead now and go back to here. copy this. Okay, so this shows me commits on lectures on Free Code Camp. I go to Canvas, I scroll up, I say new attempt, I do this, and then I submit the file. Cool. So most of what I showed you in this video is really just how to navigate once you've done the work. But the majority of the time, the hope is that you're actually just going through this and going through the debug, and then we'll move on to these other things on Thursday night. Hope this helps you. Reach out if you need any help.